Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we've got ourselves a pretty interesting RC figure. I've had a few of these on the channel over the years, and they're usually pretty fun. And this time we actually have one from Adventure Force, and I have reviewed quite a bit of Adventure Force stuff over the years. They've, been fairly consistent with somewhat fun releases. Not everything is as great as it could be, but this time we've got ourselves the Running Raptor, or Raptor Runner, or whatever the heck you want to call it, but obviously it's an RC dinosaur figure, and it looks like it could be pretty cool. It's very, very much so, very similar to the one that I had from Five Below that I bought that was really cheap. It was like a $5 figure. However, it was very low quality for obvious reasons. This one definitely looks to be a bit higher quality than the Five Below version, and overall it definitely looks better, but it's also, 4 times more expensive because this one retails for about $20. However, I guess, if you're going to get something that is low quality, you're going to pay low prices. And if you want something that's a little bit better quality, you're going to have to pay a little more. That's obviously how it works. But you can see, again, the front of the box has a big open area here where we can see the figure. And then if we turn the box around, we basically have a shot here on the back showing off the figure and some of its aspects that I guess it has going on. It's got lights and sounds and realistic running action. And obviously the controller here has like a raptor skeleton on it, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to go ahead, pop this out of the box. We'll take a closer look at it. And then, of course, we're going to put the batteries in and everything and check it out from there. So here is our Raptor now. I didn't even have to bring it in. It's already in here. And you can see again, it looks okay-ish, but obviously it's got all the very wonky proportions that if you are familiar with these type of RC figures, you're going to be very familiar with because they always have these weird long arms. This one specifically has absolutely gigantic hands, like crazy huge hands, and you can see the feet are like super tiny, and I'd imagine all of these proportions work out to give this dinosaur the ability to move the way that it does. But one thing that is pretty fun about this one over the previous one that I reviewed is the fact that this one is cordless, so that's definitely a plus because the last one was not so great because of the cord being included. Unfortunately, this time I'm not going to be able to take this one outside probably to run outside because, well, I mean, I could try possibly because it's very cold out and there's snow everywhere, so I think I'll have to wait and see how the roads look outside before I can even decide if I could take this one out. But again, it looks okay, I guess, so let's jump to a closer look and we'll check it out from there. So starting up here at the head sculpt of the Raptor, you can see it looks okay. The skin texture looks fairly decent, maybe a little muted in certain areas and definitely a bit on the generic side, but it doesn't look terrible. The overall head sculpt looks a little silly. You've got like this very large area here where we go up and over the eye, almost kind of making it look like it has a crest, but not really. It's just shaped very funny. We also have a nice bluish tone for the body color. We can see we've got glass eyes, which sport some nice like reds and oranges, it looks like possibly. Definitely some yellows and a nice black pupil, which is fun. I always enjoy glass eyes, depending on how they look, of course, because the Hammond collection hasn't quite perfected it yet, but that looks pretty cool. The teeth are a very solid white. Sculpt-wise, they're all sculpted together. They don't look that great. You can see the tongue on the inside of the mouth leads out and curves up. That looks pretty cool. Has some okay-looking texturing to it, and you also have a pinkish tone for the inside of the mouth, even there on the upper inside of the mouth, but very generic when it comes to the detail. But when it comes to something like this, again, I don't expect any award-winning sculpts or anything like that, so it is what it is. You also have a striping effect moving down through the course of the neck here. You can see leading down, and it continues to enlarge as you move along the course of the body, obviously, leading out toward the tail. Very Mattel-like here with the paint stopping before we reach the tail. But as you lead back up, you can again see that there's a little jaw articulation. We also have a little neck articulation. I'm sure that's all going to tie into, of course, the RC aspect. As you move down, you can see the arm sports some muscle definition. You can also see there is a screw hole, and this figure is definitely not going to be pretty when it comes to all of the things on it, because you'll see screw holes, you'll see all of that stuff. When it comes to these type of RC dinosaurs, you never have like perfect no screw hole sculpts or anything like that. As you lead down, you can see some scoots running down the fingers. And we do actually have painted nails with a nice glossy black. Obviously, the detail on the hands is definitely a little bit muted, and that's something you'll see through a large portion of the figure, I feel like, is kind of muted detail in certain spots. Seems a little sporadic, but it is there, again, as far as the muted detail goes. But you can see the hand is huge. Again, it's absolutely gigantic compared to the head of the raptor. As you move back into the stomach, you do have some decent looking detail, and something that I do like about as you lead back here on this one, as opposed to the Five Below version, is the fact that in this area you still see kind of some skin texture, and that is nice to see that they went that route and gave it a little bit more, even though it's extremely muted in that area. At least they have something going on. It's not so obnoxious looking. And then you lead back here, you can see kind of like some muscle definition, sort of, for the thigh and calf as you move down. Of course, the leg has open joints here as you move down for the RC action feature, and then you lead down into the foot sculpt. The foot sculpt looks absolutely ridiculous. It's just one of the most goofy looking dinosaur foot sculpts I think I've ever seen. Look how small the sickle claw is as well. So not so great as far as that goes. As you lead up, you can see the tail also doesn't really line up perfectly, but again, I think it's going to move when we do the RC feature. The tail does look like it's a little bit of a darker blue compared to the body. The body is primarily a fairly light kind of a blue. Not really light, but lighter than this. Like, you can definitely see this looks like a darker blue, so it doesn't mesh perfectly with the body. Same deal, actually, I think, for the head. The head looks like maybe it is a slightly different shade compared to the primary body. But there is a very strong curve to the tail as you lead out, which at least gives it a little bit of life, I guess. You're not going to see too much going on elsewhere. Again, the underside doesn't look half bad, actually, for what it is. Normally, the underside is atrocious on these type of things, but it actually does sport some okay detailing. And then if you turn it around, it looks pretty much the same over here, except we are overloaded with screw holes everywhere. You can see them all over the face, leading down through the neck, down into the arms, all through the course of the body, following along the spinal column, down into the legs. It is everywhere until you reach the tail, and then they're gone because you don't have anything out there on the tail. But it's kind of cool, but I'm very intrigued to actually see it work here. And then the controller, again, really quickly, you can see it's just a kind of like a sort of cracked, earthy area look to it. And then you have the raptor skeleton here, and obviously it looks like the head, the upper and lower jaw, is part of the button aspect. Yeah, it looks like the feet are as well, obviously. You can see it lighting up now, trying to connect to the raptor itself. Some areas have a little bit of a glossy satin shine. In some areas you can see doesn't really have that, but it's a pretty cool controller. Nothing, again, incredible, but definitely fun, I guess. So we've got our raptor paired to the controller, and let's check it out. Hope he fell off the side there. Try to make him walk backwards. Pretty smooth as far as his movement goes. We'll just go side to side real quick. I do like the ability to go forward and back. That's something I didn't have previously with the Five Below version. You could only go forward. And you can obviously turn to the head and stuff, which you use the feet to control that. Let's go ahead and dim the lights so we can kind of see the lighting effect of this a little bit better. So it obviously lights up there on the inside of the mouth. It does look pretty cool. I mean, when it walks, I have always been kind of a fan of the way it moves and the way these type of dinosaur RC figures move. They kind of almost have, well, what you could possibly say is sort of a realistic movement action. It also has some pretty interesting raptor noises, but not the greatest thing in the world. Seems to work okay. Now we're going to go ahead and take it outside very quickly, and we'll try it out on the snowy roads. And again, we'll try to find an area where there's maybe a little less snow. So as you could see, it worked pretty nicely on the road, and we even took it into the snow a little bit, and although the snow obviously isn't very deep or anything, it did, move okay in the snow. One good thing about this one is it actually has rubber on the underside, so it has kind of decent traction when it's moving, which is a plus for this figure. It also has a rechargeable battery, which is nice for something like this. But as far as a size goes, lengthwise from the snout to the tail, about, let's get it perfect, about 17¼ inches or around 44 centimeters. And the highest point would probably be the tip of the tail. You're looking at just shy of 6¾ inches or a little over 17 centimeters. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, Robert Muldoon, and the Collect A Human Being next to our Raptor Runner from Adventure Force, and you can very clearly see it does sport a pretty good size to it, pretty decent size overall. I don't think we really need too many comparisons because this isn't the type of figure that most people are like, wow, I really want it to size up well with something else. It's just not that type of a toy. It's just, a pretty fun RC dinosaur. So we'll just give it like one more comparison with a few other Mattel figures. So there we go. We have a Mattel Velociraptor and a Mattel Dilophosaurus stepping in here next to this Velociraptor again to give you one more idea of a size here with this RC Raptor. So this RC running Raptor or Raptor Runner from Adventure Force is okay if, you like this kind of thing. I'm starting to kind of like them, but I also don't want to have a massive collection of them. However, at the same time, I am kind of tempted to get some of the ones that I see on AliExpress because they've got some pretty neat looking ones like a Spinosaurus, a Dilophosaurus. I've seen the Indominus Rex on there before. Like, there are some pretty neat looking ones on there, not just raptors. There are actually some pretty cool raptors as well, even better looking than this one. But one good thing about this one over some of the others, and definitely over the one that I got from Five Below, is the fact that this is a much higher quality. You can feel some decent weight to it, and just generally a better feel quality to it. When you grab it, you can just see and feel that it is of a higher quality than probably a lot of the others. And that's one thing that is good about Adventure Force, is they do usually give you some fairly decent quality toys, again, for a decent price. At $20, I would say it's an okay price for this. It has a fairly good size to it. It's definitely sizable, and it works really nicely. I have had RC not even dinosaurs, but my Mosasaurus that I had, that I've used in the past and reviewed in the past here on the channel, when trying to connect the controller to the Mosasaurus was kind of a task, whereas with this, it was like instantaneous. Like, there was no issue whatsoever when it comes to connecting the controller to the Raptor, and it worked really nicely. Even when you got a little bit further away, it still was working nicely, and that is definitely a plus for this one. Of course, this sculpt is very goofy looking. It's by no means a raptor that you're going to look at for scientific accuracy. It's just kind of looks like a raptor, and that's what makes it fun. Kind of has a Jurassic Park look to it, but not really at the same time. I think the scaly look is basically what gives it the JP look and feel. Obviously, the coloration is far off from what you would see on a Jurassic Park raptor, maybe Jurassic World. But it is okay for what it is. Definitely not going to win any awards, but if you are looking for a fun RC Raptor, I would definitely say go for this one. You can find this at Walmart, again, for about $20, so not a terrible deal for something as interesting and fairly fun as this. So make sure you check your local Walmart, grab this if you are interested, and also like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.